Research shows that female genital mutilation is practiced by different ethnic and religious groups within the country in different ways. It is far more rampant among Kisii, Maasai and Kuria communities. It is unevenly spread in Kenya and more visible in rural areas. The Abakuria live in both Kenya and Tanzania. In Kenya, they live in Kuria East and West districts. Change from childhood to adulthood is an important ritual which transforms individuals to another stage of life. This change is known as Saro. Every boy or girl must pass through Saro to be recognized as an adult, otherwise he is Mulisia or Musagane respectively. One is not allowed to get married if he or she has not gone through circumcision. Once circumcised, the boys and the girls are eligible for marriage. The fight against female genital mutilation has been going on for ages, but the practice is still widespread in Kuria as the community still holds on to this culture. According to Pastor Samuel Muita in charge of Komotobo, a church-based organization that deals with children and is a rescue camp during the circumcision period, this year a lot of girls were mutilated.
Right away from a reliable source, more than 7,000 girls have been cut in Kuria. This is 2014, and that's between a span of 3 weeks. And still, it's not, the exercise is not over. They are going on.
And this time, 2014, we've had a great challenge because they learned that the law was in force. So they said they were going to circumcise every little girl so that in case the law is tough, they'll have circumcised like all the girls who are now about 8 years and towards 15, 16.
Pastor Muita says the mutilation went out of hand because someone slept on his job. Otherwise, the situation could have been contained.
It is terrible. When they began, they were fearing. They were not sure if people will be arrested. But they were trying. They gave it time, almost 2 weeks. After realizing nobody is arrested, they decided to do it in a mass action, circumcising beyond control.
Despite a law in place to fight FGM, the gains have been slow and weak. No arrests are made, and if made, the cases drag for years on end in court.
The part of enforcing this law, I want to say the government has failed. It has failed in the fact that the time when we need the most, especially during the circumcision period, they are no more, or we never see them on the ground.
It's taking long when in the courts. Like the people I arrested last year in December up to now. I go to court daily, I use my money, nobody is taking care of me.
There are numerous challenges standing in the way of the war against FGM: poverty, illiteracy and lack of adequate resources for the police and the chiefs.
The big obstacle, especially that we found in the police force, was number one was the budget. Because the police force is saying there is no special budget that is allocated to them to deal with the culprit. That one was a big hindrance.
Since the Kuria community still takes pride in the practice, it becomes very difficult for the chiefs and the police to get hold of the perpetrators. Parents and villagers collude in sending their underage daughters to cross the border to Tanzania to undergo FGM, since the campaign there is not as rigorous. And as Gladys Ogonda, the OCPD of Kuria East, and Fred Waisiko, the chief of Bugumbe East, say, secrecy surrounding the practice is one of the greatest obstacles.
Yeah, we don't receive any, but we just use our initiative as police officers through the intelligence we collect to find them. But seeing the local leaders or anybody coming to report to us is not easy. We just have to use our intelligence to ensure that maybe we get those whom we have arrested.
The villagers have gone to an extent of threatening those fighting the practice, and in one occasion, an administrative police was injured during an operation.
Recently, I would cite a case where an assistant chief was attacked by the locals claiming that he had portrayed them by reporting to us the issue of some parents who had performed FGM. So they attacked him. When he called for police rescue, we went to rescue him. Before we could even reach the chief, they had also ambushed us on the way, and sorry to report that they arrowed one of my officers, but luckily he was out of danger, and now I'm happy to report that he's well and back on duty.
Roslyn Aganyo, the resident magistrate in Kehancha Law Court, says that there are cases in court, but lack of witnesses slows the process in court, and this is expected to continue not unless the community members decide to talk and cooperate with the administrative bodies.
The community really are still embracing this practice. They are the old women, they are the mothers, the fathers who still feel that it's part of the tradition. They don't want to get away from it. So the few who have resisted, sometimes you find that they are forced. So they need protection. There's still a lot of work to be done in Kuria.
The ball then rolls back to the community. They have the power to stop this retrogressive culture that is killing dreams of a whole generation of young girls. As a result of female genital mutilation in Kuria, there are increased cases of forced marriages, sexual assault and rape, lack of access to healthcare, lack of access to education, high maternal mortality, and compromised economic opportunities. The practice has rendered the women as underdogs where they could be drivers and leaders in Kenya's economy. Marete Salvin, GBS News.